All right, so you're getting back to the front line after signing your contract. Go ahead and continue from there.
Yeah, once we get back, at this time it's probably about July or August 2022. But once we get back, now we're on official contract and we can get paid, I guess in July. But pretty much it's kind of like nothing really major happened like right away. But like as soon as I got back I could tell like it was kind of different. Like we were getting shelled more and like the artillery was more accurate. It was getting closer to us every time. And then also by that time we were gone. Probably took about 2 weeks for our paperwork for the contract. So we were gone for 2 weeks. And then during that time, the other foreigners and Ukrainians, they pushed the line forward. They established a new position forward. And um, they established a new position forward. And so we were closer to them now. And before, there was like a lot of dead man's areas, I guess. And people were like scared to go with each other, except for that firefight I mentioned. I don't really understand fully, but now we pushed forward because, and I guess they told, so I wasn't there 'cause I was signing the contract, but the other foreigners told me that when they went to that position, they went in like expecting it to be like a full on assault and they prepared for that. But then the Russians just left. Like they saw the Russians get in a vehicle and run away. They didn't want to fight. So then our friends, like my friends, they just occupied that without a fight. They didn't shoot anything. And so then when I got back, we were just occupying that position like the whole time. So I would just do 2 days there, 2 days off, 2 days there, 2 days off. That was really like nothing really significant happened. We were just doing our normal like rotationals, like star job kind of thing, like our 9 to 5, you could say. We're just doing 2 days there, 2 days off, 2 days there, 2 days off, and we're just there. Um, yeah, nothing really major happened during that time. Besides, you just get shelled and get artillery strikes. Sometimes there's a helicopter, you hear it. I don't know, just dodging explosions. Um, but then what's known as history is the Kharkiv counteroffensive starts, which there's some time that happened in between this and when I got back, like 2 months maybe, but nothing really significant happened in those 2 months. Like I said, we're just going to position every time, and nothing memorable that I remember for a good story, but maybe like a month or two passes, just trying to stay alive from the shelling. But the month or two passes, and then what's known as like our Kharkiv counteroffensive starts. And so they're telling us like we're gonna do this assault, we're gonna establish this position, and the whole time we're going to like our other position, and we're on the zero line. They're saying like, oh, over there, that tree line, we're gonna take that soon. Oh, we're gonna take that soon, and then a week goes by, another week goes by, and they just keep saying, oh, we're gonna take that soon, we're gonna assault that soon. So now the day finally comes, and we're gonna assault that. And so we get ready, and um and we get ready for it, and but it's like there's no plans, right? It's not like the U.S. Army where you get a full operation order. It's just kind of like, oh, we're going there, and bring some ammo with you. And the other guys, like the other company, they're gonna go there. And like the 93rd Brigade, so we were like working with the 93rd Brigade. They were like around us. They like all of our artillery and all of our tanks. We like relied on them for our artillery for the most part. We had our own mortars, and we had one tank we captured from the Russians for our battalion. But everything else, all the artillery that would shoot on our front line, was all from the 93rd Brigade. So basically, the idea was, oh, like the second company, we were third company, right? So the second company, that's how Ukrainian numbers it. They number it for first, second, third. I know the U.S. Army does Alpha Company, Bravo Company, but so, anyways, our second company, they're going to take the tree line to your right, and the 93rd, they're going to take the tree lines to your left, and we're all going to push up. And then someone said like something like, "Oh yeah, by the way," like I heard another foreigner talking about like, "Oh yeah, by the way, like this is a whole movement." Like we at first we just thought, "Oh, we're just going to take this tree line in our sector, right? Like this, our individual battalion is going to do an assault because just because we want to." No, apparently the whole line was moving up. Like for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers, the whole Ukrainian lines were moving up as a big assault. So we were part of that. So we do that, and initially, what happened was is I was supposed to be on the assault team to do this, and then they took me off it because I got in like a little bit of trouble, and they took me off it. And then one
Wait,
of the
wait,
other
wait.
guys
Sorry, for what? What did you get in trouble for?
smoking weed.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, a lot of guys there were doing it, but this girl ratted me out. Like one of the foreigner girls ratted me out, told the Ukrainian officer, and then they were gonna like deal with it or something. They said, but nothing ever came of it. Nobody really cared. But a
Was
lot of
it?
people were smoking there. Like me and my other friends were smoking. Some Ukrainians were smoking. Some of the Ukrainians they would grow it there. Like they grew weed plants on the front, and
Um,
sometimes they would give it to us.
was it? Was it? You don't have to answer this if you
No, I
don't
don't
want.
say her name.
Okay.
Don't say her name on the video.
It's not Snake though, right?
No, Snake died.
Okay. Keep going.
But anyways, so then they took me off the team because like a lot of people were smoking, but I was the only one who got caught. So then they took me off the team. But then there was this other guy from Switzerland, and then he didn't want to do it. He like backed out of the assault. So then he ended up going on the medic team for the assault. So he ended up being part of the assault, but just on the medic team, but not like assaulting, I guess. So he was a part of the event for like a Kazakhstan point. So then he did that and he backed out of it. So then I took his spot again. So then I was going to be on it originally, and then I got kicked off. And then the other guy didn't want to do it, so then they put me back on. There was other guys who like weren't doing it, so I don't know why they just didn't pick one of them. Maybe because I have military experience, but I don't know. So then they put me back on it. So then what happened was is we split up into two teams of our foreigners. So I think there had to be like 15 to 20 of us foreigners that were doing this. They're like maybe 16, maybe 8 and 8, something like that.
And I have
And
one
we
more.
split up into
I have a question just from the tactics point. You have 20 guys or 15 guys. Are y'all in two elements? Are y'all in like four elements? Like, are y'all like four fire teams? Are you like two squads? Like, how do y'all conduct this assault?
so we split up into two teams, like two
Okay.
squads. So it was like 8 and 8, I think. I forget the numbers. I think it was 8 and 8. So it's like a squad size force. And so the first team, they actually went first ahead of me. And they did the assault with Ukrainians. Like so they did an assault. They went first, and I guess they came across a group of Russians, and they took them prisoner. And like the Russians were just like sleeping on position. So then when they got assaulted and like our forces came upon them, they just surrendered. And then and I guess they got in one firefight. They got in one firefight after that, I guess, after they took those guys prisoner. And during that firefight, we don't really know what happened, and I wasn't there, but they said that one of the Ukrainians threw a grenade and that it hit this American guy, one of my friends, and he got wounded in the butt. Like the shrapnel went into his butt. Uh, we don't like one of my friends swears that he saw the Ukrainian throw it. I don't know for sure how that guy got wounded. I wasn't there. There's a lot of friendly fire that happens, but like you never know really who you're shooting at. But so then we came behind them, and so we were going up these tree lines, like that old position that I told you guys that we stayed at many times. We went up through there, this tree line, and then we went like past there. We went further down. We crossed like this open field to the next tree line, and then we went from there, and then we had to cross another open field to the next tree line. See, when they told us we're doing this assault, they just said, "You see that tree line over there that you're looking at from your position? Well, you're going to go there." And then we went past there, and we're like, "Where are we going?" So we went across the open field to the place that we were saying we were going to go, and then we went further than that, and then we crossed another open field. I think we crossed 3 open fields to get there or something. So we crossed 3 open fields, and then by like the second after we crossed 2 open fields, our platoon sergeant said, "Okay, now that we're getting closer, it's more dangerous. Now we're just going to go in twos, right? Instead of all 8 of us at once, spaced out or whatever, we're going to go at two at a time." And I remember like at this time, like basically we saw the tree line we were heading to across the open field, and it was just getting lit up with explosions, like the worst explosions I've ever seen. And it was because the tank was shooting at it, right? So tanks can shoot very accurately and in rapid succession. So the tree line was getting blown up, and you could see like the orange explosions coming from the tree line. And it's like boom, boom. And like the trees are going everywhere. Like the branches are getting flown over all the place. And you can see it across the open field, maybe like 400 meters, 500 meters across this field. And before this moment, like I think basically you're always trying to dodge explosions, and you're saying, well, if there's an explosion over there, I'm not going to go there, right? Common sense. Well, this is the moment where I was kind of like, there's explosions over there, and we're going to head straight for them.
Just to be sure,
like,
this is a
okay,
friendly tank firing, right?
No, this was an enemy tank.
Oh, what the fuck? Okay, I was about to say you're getting like the best base of fire, but never mind. I don't know. Okay, go on.
No, this was an enemy tank. Because we had friendlies in that tree line already. We were coming up behind them.
I'm sorry, I was.
Because remember, I said that the other foreigner group went before us.
Yeah, I thought you were saying you were heading to a different tree line, but yeah, keep going. My apologies.
No, the other foreigner group went ahead of us, so we were going to link up with them. So we had to cross these tree lines, and so once we got to the last tree line, like it was getting blowing up forever, with the tank just firing at it, boom, 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 and then our Ukrainian platoon sergeant says, "Oh, we're going there," and we just look, and we're like, "Over there, like where we're gonna die?"
Fuck that.
And like I remember, like our group, we just looked at each other and we're like, "Well, this is what we're doing. Like this is what we signed up for. Let's go." And at that moment, that was like kind of where the fear left my body, because like when I started to walk forward, I just understood like I was scared to walk forward, but then once I made the decision to walk forward, I was like, all right, this is what we're doing. Like, game on. And so like that was like one of the scariest moments, I guess, but that was just because like that was the initial like, okay, we're doing this. And then once we got there, like we're just like getting blown up, explosions all around us. Once we get to that tree line, like as to be expected, and then we get into this bunker, and like when we're there in this bunker, it was like a bunker the Russians made, right? So we took over, like our forces took over the Russian position. And then when we get there, like I think I was the first 2 or first 4. And then when we get there, there was like this Polish guy that was there. Like, so Polish people can basically speak Ukrainian, so he's usually not with the foreigners, he's like with the Ukrainian guys, but he was Polish, I guess. Maybe Polish Ukrainian or something, I don't know. But there was this Polish guy there, and he's just there alone in this Russian bunker getting bombed by himself. And we just come into his bunker, and he's just there like super scared, right? I mean, most people would be scared when you're alone, right? Especially if you're alone. You don't have like your friends to like, oh, we're all doing this together, like laughing about something. Like, so he's just there alone getting bombed by himself. And then we come into his bunker, and you can just see the fear on his face. And we're just like, oh, having fun. Like, that's kind of our reaction to him. Like, oh yeah, we're here too now. And then, so we're just like talking to him a little bit, and then we just stay there for a little bit. And then our Ukrainian platoon sergeant, he says, okay, we're going to move again. And we're like, because usually like before this, the whole time, we're just manning the position, right? We're not assaulting anything. And so before this, we were just like, okay, so normally when you get bombed, you go in and you duck into cover and you stay in the trench until the bombing stops. So this time, we're just going to get into the bunker for like 5 minutes, and then the bombing doesn't stop, but we're just going to get out anyways in the bombing. So then he does the same thing, and he says, okay, we're going to go 2 at a time. and we're gonna move to the next bunker. Like we're under heavy tank fire at this time. Like you can see like we're in a bunker and you can still see the explosions of the light, like the orange light of the explosions seeping through the holes of the bunker, and you can tell like the trees are just getting blown up, branches are going everywhere, and so we go 2 and 2, and we go to the next bunker. And I remembered like I think our Ukrainian platoon sergeant he goes in front of us, and then I was like the next group, or I was like the last group at this time or something. And then I'm just looking around, like, where do we go? Like he just said, go that way. And I'm just like, I want to get in cover. I'm gonna die. And then he's like, oh, Watchman over here. And there's like this little hole in the ground, another bunker. And I'm like, okay. I just uploaded a short on my YouTube channel of me in this bunker. It's like a very dark video, and I'm in this bunker. I'm right next to the door. So then we stay there for like another 5 minutes or something, and then we get out, and then we go. Like I don't think we went 2 and 2s in this time. At this time, or maybe we did go in 2 and 2s, but like in closer succession to each other. And then we go, and then this is the time where we actually get to the 0 line where our other foreigners are, and we link up with the other foreigner team, the other foreigner squad. And then the minute I get there, the New Zealand guy is there, and remember the New Zealand guy, he never wants any leadership position, but he has all this experience, right? And then at this time, the New Zealand guy is barking orders at everybody like, yo, you get down over there, take security over there, you get on over there, look at that way. And then like, oh, okay, let's do it. Like, game on. And then we're just kind of sitting there, like chilling, like the tank is still firing at us. I'm just laying in the dirt, pulling security, waiting for a Russian to pop out somewhere. So at this time, like we linked up with the most forward element, right? So now there's nobody in front of us except Russians. And then, and like the assault is still on, right? This is the same day of the assault. Like this is the same Monday. And then like we're just kind of laying there, like, you know, the tank is still firing at us. Eventually we lay there for so long, like, and then we move up a little bit. And then we move up, and then we move up, and then we start digging like some we start digging some like food trenches and stuff. Like the tank, it gets tired, it runs out of ammo, or they want to eat food or human things, whatever happens. So the tank stops firing at us, and we start like and it's nighttime now, and we just start digging our trenches like as much as we can dig in one night. And so I didn't get very deep. I remember my Ukrainian platoon sergeant, he was, and like the platoon, our company commander, they were in the same trench, and they were like, they're monsters. They like dug a whole thing, and me, I could only dig like me and my friend, we could only dig half, and we were so tired, and so we didn't sleep the whole night. Like we basically just like 70% security. I don't know, very little sleeping. And then so the morning comes, and then when the morning comes, we what happens next? So the morning comes, and we keep like, so the Russians, they like to sleep too, right? So you don't get shelled as much at night. I guess that's how it works. And so then the morning comes and the shelling starts, and you get woken up by the Russian alarm clock. And then basically after this, like we move up, we keep going forward, moving up to the tree line. There's nobody in front of us, there's no friendly units in front of us, so we keep moving up in the tree line. And then we come to this BMP. So there's this old like Russian BMP that's there that like the Russians abandoned because they were like retreating because we were assaulting or something. And then we kind of just end up hanging out around there
I have a question
for a little bit.
Is this BMP the BMP2 that's shown on that TikTok video of the TikToker in your unit?
Where he's getting shot at.
Yeah, that guy. But there's a video where he's like just posing around a random BMP2 in like some fucking field with some other, you know, soldiers. Maybe you don't know what I'm talking about.
No, that one's farther. No, maybe that video. No, that video is like farther. That BMP is farther back.
Okay.
That video would have been closer to our original position, where like that one guy was shooting at the guy with the thermal.
The thermal? Yeah, okay.
Like the first position I ever went to. That I guess that BMP would be closer to there. But we're like maybe 5 kilometers from there at this point. I don't know. Like we're further away now because the lines moved up.
Yeah. Okay. Go on though. So
And
you find this abandoned BMP.
but there's a video on TikTok from one of my friends, and he is in this BMP where he's taking fire from the Russians, and he just like gets in the gunner's hatch and ducks. There's a video like that.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't really remember getting shot at around that BMP. But I don't know. I don't know why I got shot at there. I don't remember getting shot at when I was near the BMP. But I remember that when we were at that BMP, we were waiting, and I didn't really know what we were waiting for, but I guess we were waiting for the Ukrainians to come and drive the BMP away. And I didn't know that. I thought we were just waiting there for some random reason. And then when we're waiting there, the tank starts shooting at us again. And then I'm hiding under the BMP. I started hiding under the BMP. And then I remember I'm just going to like sleep there. Like it was daytime at this time, and we sleep there. And I take a nap during the day. Like we didn't sleep at night. And then I remember I woke up to the Russians shooting at us again with the tank. And I remember before I went under the BMP, like, so there's the BMP and there's the 2 tire tracks. And then in the front of the BMP, there's this big space where you can crawl under it, right? And I remember that. So I remember I took something and I took like my friend's rucksack and I put it in front of me. And then I took like some pieces of metal and I put it in front of me also. And during that, in that hole in the front. And then when we start getting shot at, I guess it saved my life because when we looked at that, like we were getting shelled and stuff. So I didn't look at it at that time. But after the shelling like died down and got slower or whatever, and the tank stopped firing so much, then I looked at it and I saw like a bunch of holes in there and like and dents and stuff from the shrapnel. And like there's another guy with me there too. Like we were like we laid under there together. And so I guess I saved him in my life by putting those things in front of me. And like I think he was telling me something like, "You think that'll stop shrapnel?" I was like, "It's better than nothing." And then like later on, like after the assault and after we like went back to our village and there's no assault anymore, later on my friend who I put his rucksack in there, he was looking through his rucksack and he found shrapnel in it. So I think that was from the same event. I mean, he could have got shrapnel from anything, I guess, but I think that was the same thing. And so we're just getting shelled there. And then eventually we end up moving, like the Ukrainians took those BMPs, and then we end moving forward down the tree line, and we come to this tree line, and it's like a T intersection of trees with spaces in between, with grass in between. And it's a T section.
Just
And
to be
then
sure, this is still the second day, right? This is still the second day of this.
yeah, this would be the second day
Okay.
we slept. So then we approach this T intersection. So we're on the right side of it, and then our tree line is a horizontal tree line, meaning it's not going left like up to the front line. And then the tree line that's like making the long part of the T, I guess, or whatever, not the top of the T, but the straight, like that's like in front of us, and that's where the Russians are.
Okay.
And so we're just kind of like sitting there, and we're just kind of laying down, taking our positions, and we're like there were some trenches there, but we're mostly just like behind trees and stuff on the dirt. And then we start getting shot at. So this was like my first firefight. Well, my first firefight was actually way back in the story in Norman Brigade when Ukrainians shot at me, and we received friendly fire. So that was actually the first time I got shot at, was back in Norman Brigade, but that was friendly fire. So now in this part of the story, this would be my first time the Russians ever shot at me. So when the Ukrainians shot at me, I never shot back because I kind of thought it was friendly fire because like I said, in Norman Brigade we're like 8 kilometers from the Russians, so I was wondering why we were getting shot at.
Well,
But it was
hold
the
on.
Ukrainians who
You were
were
8 kilometers from the front line, and Ukrainians just were like, "Yep, those are the enemies."
Yeah, that's the problem in war when people are too scared.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, they were too scared. They're paranoid. And then they heard people speaking English and they thought, oh, a foreign language, let's shoot at them. I don't know what the logic was. And then there was a Ukrainian guy with us in this story, like our translator, and he yelled out at them. I remember this British guy when the Ukrainians were shooting at us. This British guy said, he was like, "Yo, get your boys in line." Because this guy was just like 18 years old, so he was scared. He was like frozen. And then this British guy's like, "Yo, get your boys in line!" And then the Ukrainian starts railing out in Ukrainian, and he's like, "Ah, friendly, friendly." And then they yell back, and then they stop shooting at us. I was
Anyways,
about to shoot at them because it was pitch
okay.
black that night. They were shooting at us, and I was about to shoot at them. And I put my rifle where I thought the bullets were coming, and I was about to like shoot back. And then eventually they started calling out, so I never shot. But anyways, that was back in Norman Brigade, previous in the story. So now we're at this T intersection, and then we start getting taking fire from the Russians now. So they're above us in this vertical tree line. Vertical meaning like it's going north and south up the front line, and they're shooting at us from those trees. But they're in the tree line, so like we don't know where they are exactly, and I would imagine they don't see us either. But they're shooting at us because we were talking. Like we got complacent and we started talking with each other, so they probably heard us. And so they start shooting at us, and so I shot like a few rounds back, um,
Just
but not much. Like I didn't
random
really know
like
where they were.
suppression. Were you shooting at muzzle flashes, or were you just shooting at the sound of the gunfire?
With no muzzle flashes because it was the daytime,
Oh
so
yeah.
you can't really see muzzle flashes in the daytime. So I was just shooting at where the sounds were coming from
Okay.
because we thought I mean I had an idea where they were. Then I heard it, the bullets, so like the gunfire. So I was shooting into that tree line. Um, but it was like so quick. It was like just a couple minutes or something. Maybe not even. I don't know. It was so quick. Like they're just shooting at us, and then I almost died there because my friend almost shot me. This is the problem with untrained people. Like one of my friends, he had a SBD, and he shot at me, and it hit the tree right next to me. So I was taking cover behind a tree during this firefight. And I only shot a few rounds at that time, but and the bullet went right through the tree. And I didn't know at the time. I thought at the time it was the Russians who were trying to shoot at me, and that the bullet went like through the tree. But later he told me that it was him. Like way after the firefight, like months after or something, he told me that was him who shot at me, and that's why I saw the bullet hole. I guess it didn't go through the whole tree, right? A tree can stop a bullet, I
Yeah,
think. So
yeah,
that's
they can.
why I saw the yeah, and I got like as like a little scratch on my wrist because the bullet went through the tree. It was like next to my head. I was like taking like aim on the tree, and so like the tree was next to my head, and then the bullet went right at the tree. So it was right like the bullet went like inches from my head, and then I got like wounded or not wounded, but like a little scratch or something because the splinters from the tree, the bullet hit the tree and the wood hit into my wrist, and then I was like bleeding a little bit. Um, but yeah, so that was that firefight. It was like a very small firefight, and then the way the firefight ended, I was so confused because the Russian he was yelling at us in Russian. It was like cussing at us or something, using swear words, and I don't know what they were saying. But then my Ukrainian like company commander was like yelling back at them, and I was so confused. I was like, why are we like talking to each other? Were we just like friendly firing? But no, they were Russians and they were just cussing at us. And then so my Ukrainian commander, he just cussed back at them. Well, like we were so close to each other in the tree lines, to these different tree lines, we could yell at each other, but we didn't really see each other because we were both hidden in the foliage, and it's summertime. Um, so then after that, we ended up like so now we had like an idea where they were. They were in that tree line. We knew for sure because they just shot at us and yelled at us from there. So now we went from left to right. So the tree line that they were shooting at us was to our left, going vertical, and we're in a horizontal one. And then so then we went to the other tree line going like to the left. So now that tree line is to our right. And it was like a T intersection of tree lines. So there's like a little bit of grass in between these three tree lines, but not like just like 50 meters or something, not big. And so then we go over there, and then we kind of just like camp out there for a little bit during this day. And I remember like when we're walking through that T intersection of tree lines, like we're walking on the grass outside the woods, and there was a Russian dead body there. Like I guess that was probably the first time I saw a Russian body that close. And there was just a Russian dead body right there on that tree line, or like in the grass, just like and there's flies on it and stuff. And we just like walked right over it, over the body. It was like in our way. So, um, and then we get into the tree line, and then we're just kind of waiting there. We're getting shelled, and like during this time that they're like shelling us, it was like everything would hit us. Like they shot mortars at us, and then they would shoot artillery at us, and then the tank would come and shoot at us, and then you'd hear the helicopter, and then it would shoot at us. Like helicopters will shoot an indirect fire at you from far away, and then the helicopter will shoot at you. They're
Yeah,
just shooting everything at us the whole
just
time.
just for historical context, during the Kharkiv counteroffensive, the Russians were completely like on the retreat, and in this process, they were just firing everything. And along with that,
But it wasn't at this time yet.
oh, was it not?
But it
Okay.
wasn't. I don't think it was at this time yet.
Oh, okay. Well, also, this is something I wanted to mention before was you were fighting the 4th Guards Tank Division, which I guess some people say is like the best fucking tank division in the Russian army. So pretty pretty hardcore. Probably has something to do with why that tank was so accurate. But
I guess
go
I
on.
heard they have P-80s. Like I guess that unit, because they're in like a more elite unit, they had T-80s, which is like a better tank because usually most Russians are using T-72s,
72s.
and I guess that's why the tank was accurate fire because the T-80s have thermal. But I guess you can just modify the T-72s with thermals nowadays. But anyways, yeah. Well, so this assault was on Ukrainian Independence Day. We did the assault on Ukrainian Independence Day. So
Do you know
that's
what day
like
that is?
late August. That's like late August or something.
1 second. I'm gonna.
Like August 20 something.
That is August 24th. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So that's why I was saying, like, I don't think they were in retreat at that time, unless they were retreating for weeks.
No, I think the retreat started in September. I could be wrong, but somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Either early September, late August. But go
But
on.
by the way, like this is like I think the untold story of the Kharkiv counteroffensive, because the offensive actually started on Ukrainian Independence Day, but if you look at the news or the Wikipedia articles, it'll just say it started in September.
Yeah, like September 11th or
And
whatever.
it'll say that they broke through at Baliklava, which was to the north of where we were. But we started pushing them before that. But anyway, so then we go to that next tree line to the left of us, and then we just kind of camp out there, and then we split up again. So the 8 of us and the 8 of us split up again. So immediately, like where we were at that T intersection, my group stayed there, and then the original group that went more forward than us, and then we linked up with later. Then they went forward down the tree line to the left. Now, to the left of us was the area that was supposed to be secured by the 93rd Brigade, if you remember me talking about that. Apparently, they never ended up doing their job fully. So then our left and to the front of us was like encircled almost. So we thought Russians were on both sides of us. And so they ended up going like all the way down the tree line to where it ends, and then we ended up staying at the place where the intersection is, where the Russians are still in front of us. And then we were just kind of like getting complacent. We were eating there for a few hours, and then we started like talking to each other. I think we were like eating, like we had like some Russian MREs we found or something. So we started eating the Russian MREs at that place, and we were like so hungry. And then this is when one of my friends, like he saw, again, he's another American, and he said he saw the Russians. And then he said to us, "Hey, is there anybody supposed to be walking up that tree line right now?" And then I said, "Hell no, that's definitely Russians." So then I was like, I was like a little bit back from the edge of the tree line because I was like eating there. And I'm like, he was the one pulling security, I guess. So then Yeah, I said, "Oh hell no, that's definitely Russian." So then I got my rifle and put my helmet on, and then I rushed over there, and then I just took up a target and aimed. So this was like the first time ever I saw a Russian, except like that dead body I saw, like we're just like a couple hours before that. This was like the first time ever I saw like a real life Russian infantryman, and then like we took up aim and we just like fired at them. Like they were just out in the open in the grass. I don't know what they were doing there. It's almost like kind of a blur to me right now, but like, and I almost forget if they were walking towards us at the time or if they were walking away from us at the time. But whatever happened, they ended up walking away from us because we were shooting at them. And this was like, I had an LPVO sight, like a 1 to 8 times sight on my AK, and I put it max, and I guess they were about 300 meters away from us. And I just started shooting, and like I probably shot like I had an RPK mag in, so I always carried an RPK mag in my gun, so a 40 round mag, and then all my other mags would have been 30 round standard mags. So I shot the RPK mag fully, like I shot all the 40 rounds, and then I think I did another mag change after that, so I shot 30 rounds to 70, and then I shot like half of another magazine because I was carrying like probably 7 mags, right? So 8 mags, I think maybe I was carrying like 8 mags. So they're just like out in the open. I don't know. There's probably like 20 of them, 20 Russians just out in the open, and I was just shooting like the whole time, like at them on target. And I don't know what happened to them. We never confirmed the kills because we didn't go over there. We didn't clear that area and assault that place. But we just kept shooting until we didn't see him anymore. I mean, I remember I shot at some guys and then like I saw their body fall. I guess kind of a blur though.
So when you're
Yeah, we
firing,
just shoot.
someone is in your crosshair. Like someone is in the middle of your optic when you're shooting.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they were wearing like these weird uniforms because when I was looking at them, it was like they were wearing multicam, and they had like these tan plate carriers on. But the normal Russian uniform is like that green woodland green. So I don't know what those guys were wearing. Maybe they were Spetsnaz. I have no idea. I don't know why they looked like that, but they weren't very good. They were Spetsnaz. Like who walked out in the open like that? Deadman, I guess. So, and I guess I remember they were trying to drag one of their guys off. Like one of their guys got wounded or killed or something, and then they were trying to drag the body off, but then we just shot him. So that happened. Um, and then after that, we just didn't see them anymore, so we stopped firing. And then we kind of just like sat around and then waited. Just, hang out, did nothing. And then the like our platoon sergeant, and the Ukrainian platoon sergeant came and he came to get us. And then he said, "Okay, now we're going over here. So now we're going to link up further with the other group that went down. But we're only going to meet them halfway. We're not going to go all the way to the end like they went. They're going to meet. We're going to meet halfway in that tree line." But I guess what happened is that during that time, at the same exact time that we were shooting those Russians out in the open, the other group of us that went all the way to the end, they got in a firefight at the same exact time as we did, and then they took 2 casualties, 2 KIAs. Because I guess what happened was they were all the way at the end of the tree line, and they're at like 2 tree lines that came together. So like there's just one little gap in the tree line, and then the tree line continued. And I guess they saw a Russian, and for some reason, one of my friends, one of the British guys, he said that he told the Russian, "Go drop your weapon." And then my other friend, like an American, he said, "No, shoot him." And then he shot him, and he died. Like the Russian died, and this is what the story they told me. This was happening at the same exact time we were shooting our guys. So the two firefights happened at the same time, and then those guys, um, and then I guess they got in a firefight, and there was more than just the one guy they saw. There was some other guys in that, like in that tree line across from them, like 50 meters or something. So our firefight was like a long range firefight, and theirs was like a close ambush almost. And they were just shooting like 50 meters from each other. And one of my friends told me that he shot one of the Russians in the head and saw his head explode. And then two of our friends died. It was one Australian guy and one British guy who died during that firefight. And then I guess the firefight ended.
Just wondering, is this the situation? I think it was an American, so maybe I'm wrong, but is this a situation where someone died because they were like online and the guy walked out of the tree line to grab like an AK or something or to loot bodies and he got killed? Is that the situation?
That,
Or
that's what I was told, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there, and the guys who were there told us like that he did run out of the tree line. So that was the Australian guy who did that. He did run out of the tree line, but like basically we don't know why he did that. It could have been to loot the bodies, but we don't know like what was in his head, right? Because he died now, so we don't know why he did that. But he did run out of the tree line, I guess. And then I guess the other guy died because he didn't take cover fast enough or something, and then he got shot, like in the neck or something. He wasn't like online properly. I don't know. That's what I was told. But anyways, that firefight ended, and I mean, I guess our guys won it because the Russians retreated and they didn't have to retreat their position. So I guess that's a win. You don't lose your territory. But then we met. So then we met those guys in the middle, and then at this point the sun was going down, so it was getting to night, and like yeah, we're still getting shelled all day. Like everything's still happening. The tank is always firing at us. Mortars are coming. We hear the helicopters, and then we get down at night, and then same thing as the previous night. We start digging some trenches because we're just on fresh ground. So we start digging some stuff for the night, and we're like in the middle of the tree line, and then we're like all super exhausted at this time. Like our two friends just died, and then we're just like all tired, and we're asking like, oh, when are we gonna go home? Like, are we going home tomorrow night? We're asking like our company commander that, and so we stay that night, and like this night was like worse than the last night because I think they were shooting at us more that night. And I remember because we didn't sleep really that night. Like maybe I got a couple hours of sleep that night or something, but we didn't really sleep that night. And I remember when I was like in my trench that we dug, like me and my friend, I guess he was sleeping because we were doing like 50% security, and he was like sleeping. But you don't get that much sleep even with 50% security because you go to sleep late and then you wake up early. So your 50% is only for 6 hours, and then 50% of 6 hours is like 3 hours. And then it takes you a little bit of time to sleep. Like you don't fall asleep immediately. It takes people like 15 minutes to sleep, right? So, anyways, but I remember I was the one on security, and he was like laying down or something. I don't even know if he was asleep at that time, but he was laying down. And I was just watching like the battle go on. So we were getting shelled. The tank started shooting at us all the time. And then our Ukrainian tank from like way behind us, like a kilometer, 2 kilometers away from us, behind us, like came to the rescue and started shooting at the Russian tank who was shooting at us all day. And then like I just remember I was watching that. So it was like the same thing I said like in back in the video. Like, you know, you're just kind of sitting there and the war's happening above you, right? And you're just watching like people shoot at each other. And so that's what I was watching. The tanks were firing at each other. And I remember like this one time I saw one of the missiles and I was like the tank shell and I like saw it like seaming through the air like a glowing thing. And I was like, it was like a movie, right? And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then that happened for like a little bit and they kept firing at each other. And then I saw the Ukrainian tank shoot and then I saw the Russian tank explode. And I was kind of surprised the Russian tank was that close for me to see it explode because I thought it was just shooting at us from like farther away. But it was still kind of far. It might have been a kilometer away, but I saw it explode because I remember it was like a mushroom, like shh, and like the sparks flying out of it. So I was like, that looks like a tank exploding. And then after that, it was quiet and like, you know, nothing happened. Like it was like peaceful after that because the Russian tank got exploded.
Is
So
this the tank
that
that had
was
been shelling you for the last couple days?
yeah. I mean, there's probably two or three tanks that were shooting at us because how can one tank shoot that much?
Yeah, I was wondering that earlier.
I mean, I don't know, right? I'm not in the drone looking at everything. I'm just there trying to stay alive. But it was probably at least two or three tanks. And but that one tank, when it exploded, everything was pretty quiet after that. So I just remember that happened. And but then like that night, after that night in the morning, like in the dawn, when the sun was still like just going up, but it was still dark, we had to go retrieve the bodies of the two guys who died. So they went over there, but I wasn't part of that team. But they went over there and they were carrying the bodies, and then they just like came, like the four of them that went over there, they came back to drop the bodies near us, and then we were just waiting there, like near our friends' bodies, and we are just waiting there, like I guess what happened is a truck came, or was it an ATV? I forget, a truck or an ATV came to go get the bodies. And then we were kind of wondering, like, why don't we go on that truck and get out of here? So we just stayed there for another like half a day. And not too much happened during that half a day or something. Or no, that morning. We didn't even stay there half a day. We just left that morning. And it was kind of interesting because when we were leaving, we were going all the way back that horizontal tree line from where we came, from where I said the BMPs were, and then we had to cross those open fields. And we were the last to leave. But from my training in the U.S. Army, if you're the very first element, which we were the very first element. Why would we be the
Last.
last to leave?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So the Ukrainians just hightailed it out of there and they left, like before us. So when we were walking back to those tree lines, because when we went forward and forward from those tree lines, like I was saying, the Ukrainians would take those positions after us. So it's not like we just left it, like the Ukrainians were coming behind us, and that's how that happened. So they were there. Um, but then, like, when we left that morning, so this would be the third day, basically. And then when we left that morning, they were just gone. And we were just walking through tree lines with nobody there. And yeah, it's like they should have stayed to cover us. So we were just walking in like like no man's land basically at that time because they left. And then yeah, we just had to walk through the open fields. And I remember they were saying like before that the other days they were saying like, oh, there could be like Russians in this tree line because it's not been cleared yet. And then when we walked out across the open field, we were walking right next to that tree line. And I was saying like, this is not smart. But we walked across that open field back to our original position, the position I said that like I went to many times. And then when we were there was Ukrainians there, and they just like they just were like looking at us like, damn, like these guys just saw hell or something. Like they just had this look on their face and they were looking at us because we were all dirty and stuff. Like they didn't really say much to us. They were just like shocked. And then we just like continued to walk away after like we just stopped there for a little bit and then we continued to walk away down there. And then we came to this other position like further away from there. And I remember like we were stopped there or something, and then I don't know remember what happened, but one of my American friends he got like mad at one of the Ukrainians and he like tried to fight him or something because the Ukrainian like was the Ukrainian told them like yeah, I think this is what happened. The Ukrainian told us like you can't stay here. And then we're saying like why we can't stay here? Like we're just sitting here to rest and waiting for our vehicle, and they're like, no, don't stay here. We're gonna get bombed if you stay here. There's too much people. And then my friend got mad at him and just like tried to fight him. We had to stop him. But then we kept going and we kept walking, and then we came to the point where the truck would pick us up. And I remember I was the first in the truck, and then the truck would come back for the second group. And then we got up on this hill where we could overlook where we came from in this valley. And then the guys that were left there, they started getting shelled on that position. I guess what that Ukrainian thought would happen happened. But they started getting shelled on that position. And then like they didn't even wait for the truck. They just like walked away. They just walked back to where we were because they didn't want to wait for the truck because they were getting shelled, and then they just left. So after that, after the whole assault was over, we went back to the village, and we basically like a bunch of our guys had concussions from all the shelling,
Sorry.
and so
This is the end of the assault?
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna end this part here.